Okay, so we're done with this. Let's see, hold and to release reason creation and placing the hold and releasing the hold against the invoices. Fine. So we'll go with this concept. So this is an instance which we are using for practice as well as classes. So our user is Google. Done. So now just navigate to invoice workbench. So just go to navigator. Within the navigator we have payables. Under payables you can go to invoice work area by clicking on invoices task. So before that, what we'll do is just we'll go and create our own holds and release reasons. So we can have many predefined. Okay, so let me take this point to address what we are going to do. First what we'll do is we'll create hold undo. Okay, it's all about the same, just type like given hold reason, create release reason. And after creating that, for testing purpose we'll go and create invoice and place hold on invoice, and then we'll see, and we'll try to perform some payment, try to make payment. So since hold is exist on the invoice, I mean when you try to make the payment, because of hold system should not accept, then we'll release the hold and we'll proceed. Okay, release hold and then you can perform any action on that invoice. We'll see these points. First we'll go and create one hold reason and release reason. The same reason will assign apply to invoice and we'll just release it, we'll just work on it. Fine. So to define the these reasons, it could be hold reason or release reason. Go to our project or FSM homepage, setup and maintenance. You can go to our project, click on manage implementation projects, click on overview. So what are the project is associated with the current user, that would get defaulted here, right? So click on the project name. Here we can search for holds and release reasons. Say invoice. Okay, hold. You can search with this term. You can find the task called as manage invoice holds and releases. Click on this task. Click on go to task icon. Just click on create. So we'll create one hold reason and one release reason. So type is a invoice hold reason. We can give the name as Google non-sufficient funds. The same you can write, take as a description, or you may write detail. Okay, description as a no sufficient funds. And when you place this hold, whether system should allow for accounting or not, and system should allow for manual releasing, or you can specify that and say save and close. And we'll go and create one more definition for release purpose. Say invoice release reason. You can give the name as Google funds available. Sorry, the same we can take as, or you can create many reasons, right, for holding purpose and releasing purpose, that you can specify and say save and close. Done. Apart from that, you could see many predefined, okay, predefined hold names and release names. Since this is a vision instance, you can see many. In case of fresh instance, you can see limited hold reasons and release reasons. So since people are using this instance for practice, you can see big list of hold reasons and release reasons. Done. So now what we'll do is, we're done with this two reasons definition. We'll go and create invoice and we'll place the hold and we'll try to perform the payment. So go to invoice workbench. Okay, go to navigator. Within the navigator, under payables, click on invoices task. Go to task list. So these points, everything we discussed detail level, so we don't need to discuss again. Go to task list, click on create invoice. So we set profile option called as default business unit. So system is defaulting RBU here. We can select our supplier. Supplier is Google Inc, right? That's what we created. Then system will default supplier site and do invoice currency. Yes, so defaulting. You can give invoice number as invoice 1. Enter invoice amount as 10,000. And you can enter the line amount, same 10,000. You can select distribution set, or you may provide manual distribution. Okay, let's enter manual distribution here. You can select any one of the expense account. So in this environment, along with these three segments, just added one additional segment called as project. Okay, these I just loaded through spreadsheet wrapped implementation. You can just select any one of the project, or you can maintain some default value as a 0000 that you may select. Then say OK. We'll go and validate this invoice. Okay, done. So validated. Now if you notice here, holds, we have a different type of holds: installment based holds, line variants, distribution variants, manual hold, system holds, and supplier site. Now we'll go and place the manual hold against this invoice, so that system should not allow us to process the payment against this invoice. So to place the hold on the invoice, you can go to invoice actions and click on manage holds. So here you can assign, you can just place the hold on this invoice. Click on add hold name. We given as a Google NSF, non-sufficient funds. The reason description system is defaulting. You can say save and close. So since we are placing the hold on that invoice, system should not allow us to proceed with the payment. So here you could say manual hold, one got placed on this. If you click on this one, it will display the hold which we placed, the name and description. And because we place the hold, see, system is changing the validation status to needs revalidation. Since invoice status needs revalidation, it cannot be processed for next step, right? So if you try to make the payment, because of hold, system updated validation status as a needs revalidation. If you try to make the payment, system says we cannot perform that action in this state. This action is not applicable for the invoice in its state. With the status of invoice where the validation is needs revalidation, you cannot do it. Okay, so now we'll go on to release the hold. Go to invoice actions, say manage holds, and here the release, you can release the hold with the specific reason by specifying the reason. So you can say funds available. Okay, so since no funds in the organization, say we placed a hold, so that cannot be selected for payment. Now funds are available, so we are releasing the hold. So this invoice will be available for payment. So now system is updated, status as validated. Now no holds. Now if you want to make the payment against this invoice, you can do it. Right, it's allowing us to navigate to this pop-up page. That means we'll be able to process the payment. Okay, just will make the payment for this invoice. Done. Say submit. Done. Here you could see the status as paid. Same how much amount is paid also you can see. So you paid full amount. So this is how just you can create the hold name and release names, and you can place the hold on the invoice, and you can release. Based on that, system will just allow, or it will restrict respective actions on the invoice depending on whether hold is placed or not. Okay, so then that's all about invoice holds. Now we'll just move on to next topic. So we're done with this. Okay, now we'll go through supplier refund process. So we know we don't have any standard solution the part of payables to process a supplier refund. Always we use workaround. So there could be many workarounds which normally we suggest to the clients, but here I am going with one of the workaround which we can suggest, which normally business follows. Okay, so here we'll take the simple case to test this supplier refund is, say we given some advance to supplier. When you talk about advance, it's all about giving the prepayment. If you want to process the prepayment, first we have to create prepayment invoice. Say create prepayment invoice. Say we want to give $1 lakh advance to our supplier, so create prepayment invoice with $1 lakh. After creating the prepayment invoice, it's just invoice, it's not a payment, so we have to process the payment for prepayment invoice, right? Say process payment for prepayment invoice. So we just will process payment for prepayment invoice for 1 lakh, so that the prepayment would be available for usage. After that, by taking the business case where we procure some material from the supplier for certain amount, we'll create standard invoice. So we purchase something from supplier given invoice. That invoice we can create in the system as a standard invoice. Say create standard invoice. So we purchase for $75,000. 75,000. And if you want to make the payment against this invoice, you can make, or else we can use the existing prepayment, right? The advance what we have with our supplier, we can use it. Now we'll go with the case as we'll use that prepayment. So now you can apply 75,000 prepayment on invoice. Now this prepayment, this invoice outstanding will become 0. Now if you look at this prepayment availability, it would be a total 1 lakh available. Since we paid 75,000, we applied on the other outstanding invoice. Now availability would be $25,000 only. So in this scenario, in this case, if you want to refund, if you want to get that money from the supplier, since you are not going to continue the supplier at different reasons. The reason could be anything. Say you want to get that 25,000 as a refund from the supplier. In that case, how to handle the situation? Up to here, this is a very generic scenario, right? When you give advance, whenever you have a outstanding invoice, we can apply on that. But if you look at this scenario, we have still 25,000 with the supplier. If you want to get that amount back from the supplier, what we have to do? So say we cannot record any payment without invoice in our payables application. We know that. Say supplier is going to make the payment, supplier is giving the refund. If you want to record the refund in payables as we are receiving from the supplier, we require invoice. So the case is totally reversed. We are not paying, we are receiving. We are receiving in the sense, okay, we have to represent that with the negative sign. So when supplier is going to refund that amount, we have to create credit memo. So we'll create the credit memo with minus 25,000. When you say debit or credit memo, minus. So by looking at this credit memo, which is standalone credit memo, normally we create debit or credit memo against the invoice to reduce the balances depending on the scenario. But here, the credit memo which we are creating to address so and so supplier has to pay us as a refund. So by looking at this credit memo, we can understand the supplier has to pay us. Say supplier paid us, that we have to record as a payment only against the credit memo. So we have to record payment for credit memo, okay, for the same amount with which amount we are creating the credit memo. It's nothing but refund. When you get refund from the supplier, so we have to record the payment for credit memo. Before that, we have to create the credit memo. So when you create the credit memo, and when you look at our payable system, one way it says $25,000 available with the supplier from prepayment. The other transaction says supplier has to refund 25,000. That means we are representing twice. One way 25 available, another way 25,000 supplier has to refund. So before we go and record the credit memo, what we have to do is we have to close this $25,000. So to close the prepayment, only the option is application. So for that reason, what we can do is we can create one dummy invoice, create dummy invoice with 25,000 and apply prepayment on dummy invoice 25,000. So whatever the prepayment available, that anyway we are going to get refund from the supplier, so still we should not show in our books as that is available. Before you go and create the credit memo, we have to create dummy invoice. That prepayment you have to apply on the dummy invoice, then this availability will become 0, right? Since we applied, okay, so finally the available prepayment will become 0. Now that amount will be representing by creating credit memo. Whenever you get the payment from supplier, so that will record as a refund. Okay, so we'll see this same process how that can be captured in the system. Sorry, I want to delete it. Done. So first we'll go and create the prepayment invoice and we'll process the payment and we'll go with this simple case. Fine. Create prepayment invoice with 1 lakh. Say save and close, or you can click on save and create next. Go to task list, say create invoice. Supplier name is Google INC. Invoice is, say we are going to create the prepayment invoice. PP1, prepayment 1. Amount is 1 lakh. So invoice type is prepayment. Fine. So we have to make sure payment type is, payment terms are immediate, right? Whenever you want to process the advance, we create the prepayment. So normally we don't maintain any terms for that. So we should go with the immediate payment terms. So enter the line amount, line amount is 1 lakh. So okay, so system is taking this distribution, the account amount from supplier side. Okay, if you have a supplier side level, it will derive. If it is not there, it won't take. The same happens in EBS also, right? So in EBS case, the supplier site level, these accounts are mandatory, but in the Fusion, they made as optional. Done. So now you can validate this invoice and you can process this prepayment invoice for payment. Status is unpaid. Say pay in full. Select payment process profile as a Google payment process profile. And payment document is Google check. Say submit. Now we can see this 1 lakh is available. The status of this invoice is payment is available. We paid, the same amount is available. If you want to perform the accounting, yes, we can do it, but anyway, it's not mandatory, just to test this scenario. We'll just go and perform the accounting also. Say post to ledger, which will create accounting entries, transfer to GL as well as post it, right? These three activities will be performed by that function. Done. So accounted and transferred and posted in the GL also. So we're done with this. We created prepayment invoice and we processed for payment. Now we'll create one standard invoice with the 75,000 and we'll apply the prepayment, the equivalent amount. Now you can click on save and create next. Supplier is same, Google INC. So invoice 2, amount is 75,000 as we discussed. You can take any payment term, it could be immediate or any other payment term, it totally depends. Right, you can go to lines, place the cursor, system will open the field, enter 75,000. You can use the distribution set or you can enter manual distribution. Select any one of the expense account. If it is applicable, you can select specific type of project or you may go with the default value. So done. Now validate this invoice and apply prepayment on this invoice. So to apply the prepayment on this invoice, you can go to invoice actions. Here you can see apply prepayments. Click on this function and it displays all the already we discussed when we just tested prepayment. We discussed we can go and enable show prepayments notification, and when we create the invoice against also supplier if prepayment is available, that we enabled in the invoice options, right? So we no need to discuss that point once again, so I'm ignoring it. So apply prepayment on this invoice, just select and say apply, then click on done. Still 25,000 available. Since we applied prepayment on this invoice, again we should submit for validation. It's validated. Created standard invoice, we applied prepayment. Now still 25,000 is available. To close that amount, to create the credit memo which will represent supplier refund, okay, we'll go and create the dummy invoice. Say save and create next. Supplier is Google INC. And write invoice number as a dummy. How much amount? 25,000 we want to close from the prepayment amount, and here we have to follow the accounting logic. Okay, you have to use some relevant account which we'll be using in credit memo also. In the dummy invoice will, whatever the distribution you take, it debits. In credit memo, whatever the distribution you take, it that will credit. That's how that will get knocked off. So here you can use the relevant account based on the purpose why we are creating this invoice. Maybe prepayment adjustment account or supplier refund account you can take. That's how you can just follow the accounting logic. Just let's search with a refund. If account is available, we'll use it. Better we can go with advanced search and say description. We want to search which contains refund. Search. Some there are refunding of wages. No issues. You can treat this account is supplier refund account, and you can select. Okay, done. So whatever the account we are using in the dummy invoice, same account we have to use in the credit memo also. Right? That's how we just suggest a solution. Now you can validate this invoice, apply prepayment on this invoice so that the prepayment available amount will become 0. Go for application. Still you could see 25,000 is available. Select that prepayment and say apply. Say done. So again we have to submit this invoice for validation. Now you can see validated. Done. Save and close. Okay. So just we adjusted available prepayment against the dummy invoice to close, to open with credit memo to process custom supplier refund. Okay. Now we'll go and create the credit memo with the $25,000. So go to task list, say create invoice. Supplier is same Google INC. And before you enter amount, you can select type as credit memo. So here you can provide what purpose we are creating this credit memo, for refund purpose. You may just enter the name also as a invoice number as a refund, and how much amount supplier is going to refund, 25,000. Since it's a credit memo record, we have to enter negative sign, minus 25,000. Okay, here use payment terms as immediate only. So the moment we get the payment from the supplier directly, we cannot record that as a refund. So that is the reason we are creating the credit memo. So use payment terms as immediate. Enter line amount as minus 25,000, and distribution combination. We should use the account which we used in dummy invoice. Select company, select department. Account is supplier refund account, but here we don't have that account which is predefined, so you can use any one of the refund account. Search with the refund. Select it. You treat this account is supplier refund account. That's how you can select it. The same account we selected in dummy invoice also. Right. So then validate this invoice. If you want to account it, you can account it. So accounting is anyway not mandatory to process the payment. So done. Say save and close. Now you can expand this to switch to payment workbench. So now we'll go and process the payment against the debit credit memo. So processing the payment against the debit or credit memo as a standalone, that comes under refunds, right? If you are processing the payment to debit or credit memo along with some other invoices, it's all about to reduce the amount. But current scenario is we didn't match that debit credit memo with any invoice, that is standalone, to just to represent how much custom supplier has to refund. That's all. Just go to task list within the payment workbench, click on create payment. So select supplier name. Supplier name is Google Inc. You can just type and tab out, it will fetch. You don't need to click on LOV search and find this process, no need to follow. Now from Google Inc, we are not going to make the payment to Google Inc, we are going to get the refund from Google Inc. So select the payment type as refund. We are going to get refund. So once we get that amount from this supplier, so we want to deposit that amount or check into which bank account. You can specify that how you are getting the payment from supplier through check. And once you receive on the check, there should be some check document number, right, that you can specify. So we received check with this number. Okay, and you can, how much you received and all that we maintain with the credit memo, right? How much we have to receive, that we maintain, that you can select here as a received. So just click on select, and here we have a credit memo which we created for supplier refund. So select and click on apply and say okay. Then you can close it and say save and close. This is how we just record the refund even in EBS. The same is applicable in the Fusion also. There is no some enhancement or separate functionality, separate feature Oracle is providing. Still we have to continue with this sort of workaround only. Only they given the type called as refund, but there is no full-fledged standard functionality. So this is how just we can manage with a refund. I'm sorry, I think I closed that sheet. I think Mitra and Prakash, right? Yes. Prakash, I have to share instance. This is what I written in that spreadsheet. Fine. So that's all about supplier refund, how we can handle in payables. Okay. So now we'll look at next topic called as aging periods. So when I talk about aging periods, we know it's all about finding the age of invoice. It's all up to know past due of the invoices, current or future due. We can use the aging periods, and we can just create the periods or buckets how we require. So to test this functionality, first we have to create aging. Let me remove this. We have to create the aging periods. Okay, we have to run report, aging report. By selecting the aging period as a parameter, then we can get to know outstanding invoices at all. I think we don't have many invoices. Okay, so those may not result into this report. So just in this environment, only what are the invoices we created just now, those only we have. We don't have any other invoices. To fetch some data for this aging report, what we'll do is we'll go and create one or two invoices with the past date by giving the payment term as immediate, so that by today's system will treat those invoices as a past due. Okay, just we'll go and create two invoices so that we can get the result also into that report definition, report submission. Okay, Google Inc. Say one, so 50,000. We'll take creation date as a first. Payment term is immediate, so due date will become 1st April only. Amount is 50,000. You can click on search. You can see all existing code combinations. You can select any one of the code combination. Just we are testing. There won't be an issue. So validate this invoice. Okay. Say save and create next. Create one more invoice. Google INC. Invoice number is 2. So 30,000. I want to set invoice creation date is this. So term date is 17th. Due date payment terms immediate. So due date also will become 17th only. Right. Enter line amount. Same amount 30,000, or you may enter multiple lines. Click on search. To find out all existing code combinations, you may click on search. You can select any one of the random account to fill this field, some account code combination. Done. Just validate it. Say save and close. Okay, now we have a 2 eligible invoices which you can get into report based on the aging period definition. Okay, we'll go and create the aging periods first. Navigate to our project. Just click on task list, click on manage implementation projects, click on overview. It will route to our project, which project is associated with the current user, right? So open this project by clicking on the project name, search for aging periods. So task name is manage aging periods. We'll go and create 2 or 3 or 4 periods within the definition. So task is manage aging periods. Click on go to task icon. Say create. Can give the name as Google aging periods. Optionally, you may use the description. Then click on add aging period details. So column order. Okay. The first column within the report should represent which information. Here you could see that pop up. So we have to enter a negative number to report past due. Enter positive number. Okay, sorry. Enter positive number to represent the overdue past due. Enter the negative number to represent future due. Okay, so you can just say you want to know invoices which are falling under 1 to 10 days past due. Okay, so you can say 1 to 10. It represents 1 to 10 means 1 to 10 past due. Here how system should display that column when you run the aging report for this range of the days. It should display the column name as a 1 to 10 past due. That's how it should represent. Same way you can add 2 or 3 more columns into the aging period definition, which will be coming in the report. So column 2, say 11 to 20 days past due, 11 to 20 past due invoices. Add 2 more columns, 21 to 30. Thirty-one to say 60. 31 to 60 days past due. This is our system. Within the report, the output, the column name should come. Okay, fine, done. Now say save and close. and submit report from ESS job page, Enterprise Scheduler Service, which you can navigate from Schedule Processes task. Click on Schedule Processes. So go to Schedule New Process. Just search with InvoiceAging. So payables InvoiceAging report. Select and say OK. What it will do? It will list out unpaid invoices according to specified aging periods. Okay, unpaid. Those unpaid can be past due or current due or future due. That totally depends how you define within the aging period definition. Business unit, select RBU. RBU is Google Business Unit, right? Google US Business Unit. And sort invoices by trading partner or invoice types. That anything include invoice details, yes. Include supplier site also, yes. So based on which aging periods the report outcome should come, the result should come. Based on Google aging periods, system has to generate the report. Click on submit. Say OK. Just monitor this job which we submitted just now. Just keep hitting on this refresh icon. Okay, it may take a couple of minutes time some based on the data. Hope it will complete without much time because we don't have many transactions, right? It's done. Now to see the report output, you can just select it. You can just place the cursor. You can click on that and you can scroll little down. Here you could see output file. Click on the output file and just click on download. Here from here you can download the same. Save it or open directly. Now here you can see the report output. Scroll little down. So we created 4 buckets or 4 periods within that, right? 1 to 10 days past due, 11 to 20 days, 21 to 30, 31 to 60. So 2 invoices we created, 1 to with the past date and the due date also past. So that's the reason it's capturing. The invoice 1, it is falling under 21 to 30 days past. Reason we created with the 1st April and due date also 1st. So by this time it is falling within this range. The second invoice is falling under 1 to 10 days past. So this is how just you can create the aging periods based on the data availability out unpaid invoices. You can produce a report. So that's all about aging periods. So you won't see any difference when you compare with EBS, right? If any difference in terms of setups or process, we'll be highlighting on that. Fine. So here now we can custom roles. So what I'll do is this custom roles I'll take you through in the one separate session. Maybe in tomorrow's session we'll see, because we will try to spend complete entire session for the custom roles so that we can go through everything and we can connect. If we start with the custom roles and all, maybe we have to end this discussion in the off of the custom roles concept. So instead of going with that, we'll go with some other concept. In tomorrow's session we'll see the custom roles. We'll go through all these points. For today we'll go with a few other concepts. Anyway, we are marking with the status each and every topic. So create accounting entries and transfer to GL. Just I'll take you through that. So just very known process. So if you want to create accounting entries and transfer to general ledger, the accounting entries for invoice, payment, when you talk about cash management, reconciled payments, whatever. If you want to process, you can go to invoices workbench and click on task list, and if you scroll little down you could see create accounting. This is the one option. Otherwise you can go to directly schedule process. From there you can find the create accounting job and you can submit from there also. Instead of navigating to schedule process, directly here we have a function, okay, which you can select, which you can navigate directly from the invoice workbench. So you want to create accounting entries for which application? Say payables. So which ledger associated BUs related payables? Ledger.
Lakshman?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, actually, we have done accounting in invoices. Then what is that purpose?
See, we can create accounting for the invoices. You can mute from your side if you don't mind. Anyone after question you can mute so that when I speak or in other cases so that there won't be any background noise. Fine, done. So you can create accounting for each and every invoice separately, but you may not create accounting for all the invoices the moment you create. So instead of submitting accounting for each and invoice separately, you can go and run the create accounting. It will look for all the unaccounted invoices, unaccounted payments, unaccounted reconciled payments, and it will select all, and in one go it will create the accounting, and based on the parameters it will transfer and post. Okay, if you want to do one by one you can do it. For many invoices and payments we didn't do it, right? The today's session only for one invoice we accounted. So this is the actual process which we use to account invoice and payments and reconcile payments in one go. Okay, fine. So process category, you want to process accounting for all the category of the transactions. So accounting mode is final, process events all, would still transfer to general ledger, yes, post in general ledger, yes. So done. So you can accept all the default parameters, say submit. Now you can cancel and you can go to ESS job page and you can monitor that job. Just navigate to schedule processes. Click on schedule processes. It will navigate us to ESS job page. This is Enterprise Scheduler Service job page, which is equal to EBS SRS window, right? So from here you could see system is running jobs. It is importing the journals into GL. If you want to see more running jobs, you can just expand it. Fine, done. So now we'll switch to GL and we'll just look into these journal entries which are flowing from payables to GL. Fine, just go to under general accounting. We have a task called as journals. Click on journals. Go to task list. Click on manage journals. So by default, these are the search fields which they are giving as a criteria to search any record, any journal information. Apart from this, if you want to have some additional fields, those you can find here. Add fields for search purpose. So these are the additional fields. See here, say you want to search with the date, but the date related field we don't have here. If you want to add that, you can add into this list. You can say accounting date, select, it will be added here. Same way we have many other fields also. So this viewer system is displaying. If you want to see more, you can click on this down arrow, it will be showing category wise and all, you can search. Fine, anyway, now we don't require that. So search with the period and the source as a criteria. Period is April, source is payables, right? Payable transactions, we created accounting entries and transfer to GL. Those we want to find in GL in the form of journals. So payables, select, say OK, then click on search. Okay, so system grouped, okay, the invoices into payments, multiple invoice into specific journal batches. So now you can just open any one of the invoice or payment. So the very beginning of payables, when you created first invoice itself, we just gone through the process of drill down, right? How we can drill down from GL to payables. Just we gone through the process. Again, just will touch base on that. Okay, you can just open any one of the journal by clicking on the journal name. Fine. Now, if you want to drill down to subledgers based on specific journal line, in case of EBS, you have to select the specific line and there will be tab called as line drill down. That's how you can drill down. But here, no other option as a tab and all. So directly you can click on the amounts. The amounts you can see with a hyperlink. If you want to know why just this 10,000 we spent, sorry, one lakh dollars we spent, you can just click on that amount, and it is taken to the reference to journal lines, okay, which are part of SLA, and you can expand that additional information related to transaction. You can get to know all the details. If you want to view the source transaction from payables, you can click on view transaction. It will drill down to payables with read-only mode. Okay, so here you could see that is related to prepayment. For which supplier we given all the details we could see. So this is how we can drill down from GL to payables. And we can override the accounts, how that reflects in GL. Those points already we discussed as a part of payables. Right, done. So that's all about creating accounting entries and transferring to GL. And we'll look at this payables to general ledger reconciliation. Okay, so when I talk about payables to general ledger reconciliation, in case of EBS, it's a completely manual process where you have to run the reports and manually we have to verify. But here, they need some enhancement for such kind of process which we do manually. So if you want to reconcile the payables with the general ledger application, first you have to run payables to say run payables to ledger reconciliation. Okay, this is one process which we run. What it will do is when you are running this, okay, before that we have one more point to discuss. Let me write here. When you run this process, what system will do is at the time of submission we provide system has to fetch which account balances from payables under GL. At the time of payables to general ledger reconciliation process, we will provide the control account, which account which account we are maintaining the liability amounts, accounts payable balances. We have to provide that as a parameter. Then based on that account, with the same account, how much balances we have in payables, how much balances are available in GL, it will fetch and will run the payables to general ledger reconciliation. That report will display what is the variance we have between the payables and GL with respect to the control account. Okay, so just I'll give you the points and I'll show you. If you have any questions, you can raise those points. Okay, so first we have to run that. Before that, after running that, system will fetch the balances with, and it will maintain with a specific title. The title also we can provide within this process only. After that, we have to submit payables to ledger reconciliation report. Here, this is the process to fetch the balances. This is the report to display the balances which are fetched by this process. Prior to that, what we have to do is which account you want to use, which account you are going to use for reconciliation purpose for payables, that you have to mark as with the financial category. Say set value attribute. Means set value attributes means as per EBS value attributes nothing but segment qualifiers. That means for the control account we have to assign the segment qualifier. Here value attribute we are calling, or you can, that point you can see there when you go there, or else say set financial category. See, when you say financial category, okay, let me write it. When you say financial category, it's a value attribute. So allow budgeting, allow posting, account type, reconcile, financial category, these are value attributes. Nothing but segment qualifiers in EBS. In Fusion, same we are calling as value attributes. We have to set financial category for control accounts. You may use one or more than one to manage your liability. You may use multiple control accounts also, maybe for domestic suppliers and foreign suppliers and different category of suppliers. We may have a multiple liability accounts. For all those accounts, you have to set the financial category as a accounts payables. Let me write that also. Set financial category for control accounts as accounts payable. That means what are the accounts payable account we have in our value set. For that we have to set the financial category also as accounts payable, so that system will understand, and when you run this process, the same account we have to select, it will fetch the balances. We'll get to know a complete process, but just notice these 3 points. First we have to set what are the control accounts we have which we'll be using in the reconciliation. For that we have to set the financial category. After setting the financial category, we have to run payables to general ledger reconciliation process, which will fetch the balances from payables and GL with the respective account. If that's a specific account, what are the balances are available, it will fetch, and it will just the fetched balances. To hold the fetched balances, we can give some request name also. That by using that name as a parameter, we can submit this report. So what are the balances are fetched with a specific control account from payables and GL, that would get displayed through this report. This report will show the differences for the control account from payables and GL, and including the reasons also. It will show the reasons also. What is the difference we have? What is why the difference is causing? The detailed information we'll get to know. That's how we can simplify the payables to ledger reconciliation. We'll go through that process. First, we have to set financial category for the control account. So, what are the account we are using for our payables? For that account, we have to set the financial category. So we'll go and check which account we are using in the common options. The same account system will derive for each and every invoice creation, right? Otherwise, if you give at supplier level, that will derive, but we didn't give at supplier level, so all the time system will take from common options. So first verify which account we are using in our common options as accounts payable account. Because since this is a test environment, we are using the corporate account value set. There could be many values which are created by different parties who are practicing on that instance. So better we'll go and check which account we are using, so that we can get the result. Otherwise, if randomly if you try with one account, that account with that account there may not be transactions with our ledger and the BU, so that won't produce any results. Just go to common options to cross verify which accounts payable account we are using. Click on go to task icon. Here we have account called as liability 100. So for this account, we have to make sure financial category is already specified as accounts payables. To set up that, we have to go to our account value set. Search for value set. Chart of accounts, value sets. Click on manage chart of accounts value sets. Click on go to task icon. So which value set we are using as a part of our chart of accounts? For company, department and project, we just have our own value sets, but for account we are using corporate account value set, which is predefined only in the vision instance, right? So search for the same corporate account value set. So here is the corporate account value set. You can click on manage values. So as an accounts payable account, as a part of our common options, we are using the account called as 22100, right? Search and find that account within the value set, and make sure that you are just setting financial category as a accounts payable. So here we have a financial category. We know this allow posting, allow budgeting, and account type, third party control, reconcile, financial category all comes under value attributes. Nothing but segment qualifiers as per EBS. This financial category is the new value attribute in the fusion. So since this is accounts payable account, we are using control account for payables. You should mark it as a accounts payable. So then system will allow us to use this account for reconciliation purpose, where the process will fetch the balances which are existed with this account in payables under GL. So this is a category classification you have to provide. After completing that, so we're done with the first step. The second step is just go and run the payables to ledger reconciliation process by selecting the accounts payable account, which we marked as a financial category as accounts payable, or simply say which account we are using in our accounts payables, that account. That's it. So just go to ESS job page. Go to ESS job page, click on navigator, click on schedule process. So instead of taking the navigation all the time, clicking on navigator, searching for schedule process, clicking on it, landing on this page you can select into favorites. Here we have a favorites and recent items. So tag it as a favorite, add to favorites. So this page is just monitoring the process or schedule process. Simply you can say ESS job page, enterprise scheduler service job page, where you can submit any requests. So save and close. From next time onwards, we don't need to just navigate to here. Simply you can go to favorites, right? So we are on this page. Now we want to submit one job. Simply you can click on favorites. Here is the selected page. Just click on ESS job page, directly will be landing on that page. So in EBS also, within the navigator, up to 10 functions you can select into top 10, right? That is also there. But here you can just tag specific pages into favorites. I think that is not yet updated, so it's not connecting. But already we just tagged as a favorites. Let's see. No, it is not yet updated into that the specific services. So you can try after some time. It should work. For now, we'll go with the manual process. But just I'm trying to give you the point. So if you want to make some page into favorites, how you can tag. So that is a process. So now go to schedule new process. So just search with the term called as reconciliation. Search. So which reconciliation related request we want to submit? Payables to general ledger, right? So here we have a job called as prepare payables to ledger reconciliation. So you can see the purpose of this job also. See what is the purpose? So this job prepares transaction and accounting information for reconciling Oracle Fusion payables to Oracle Fusion general ledger. Okay, this job prepares the data and it will keep ready for reconciliation. That means it will fetch the account related balances and it will just notice all the transactions from GL and AP where this account is associated. Which account? Now that account will be specifying now. Select that job and say OK. Request name. So whatever the name you provide here, this name only will be using when you run this payables to ledger reconciliation report. So within this report, you have to provide the parameter called as request name. So whatever the name you provide here, the same you have to use in the report. I'll say AP to GL reconciliation for April 18. Okay, this name will be available as a parameter when you run this payables to ledger reconciliation report. So select ledger, and if you want to run the reconciliation for all the BUs which are associated with this ledger, you can go with the open submission, or else just you can have a specification of you want to run this for which BU. We have only one BU which is associated with this ledger, so only one you can find here. We want to run this reconciliation for which period? April 18. And here we have to specify the account. This reconciliation, we are running this uh, job to fetch the balances from AP and GL against which account. That account you have to specify here. That's very important. You can specify any account, but system finally will accept to process if the account is already classified as accounts payable account. Say account, the account is equal to double two one double zero, right? So this is the account which we used in our payables for our BU. Then say OK. Now it would be selected as a okay some condition criteria to fetch the balances. This is how just we have to give. Remember this name. This name will be using in the report submission time. So all these balances what system will capture for this BU for this period with this account from payables and GL will be maintained under this title only. Just click on submit. Okay, seems to this job is completed with all child requests. Still it's running. We'll wait for some time. Fine. So now you can assume that system the process fetched balances from GL and AP with respect to control account, which we given as a parameter just now, and we given one request name also which we can use in the report generation. Fine. After completing this, you can go to invoice workbench, The payables, click on invoices. Click on task list. So here you could see one task name called as payables to ledger reconciliation. This is a basically report. So once you click on this, automatically system will take the request name, whatever we given just now as a parameter. It will select. If you have multiple, say you that point we'll discuss now, it will take, since we have only one, it will select automatically. Just click on payables to ledger reconciliation, we'll get to know. Just click on payables to ledger reconciliation report. It will fetch the balances which are processed by the previous request which we submitted one job called as prepare payables to general ledger reconciliation, right? So this is the request name we given. Based on the request name only, it is producing the results. APGL reconciliation April 18. This is the name we given. So based on this, it is fetching the balances. See here. So since we have very few invoices and payments and we accounted and transferred, there is no difference. There is no issue with our payables data in terms of reconciliation with the GL. If any difference related to invoice or payment or prepayment or payables variance or anything, it will be showing here differences. You say here we have a 5,000 amount as a difference between payables and GL. If you want to know the reason, you can click on that amount. It will take you to the page where it will display all the reasons. Okay, final accounting is not completed, or this is not transferred to GL. The reasons it will specify. And next step, what you have to do, you have to go on to correct it. After correcting, again you have to submit process payables to general ledger reconciliation. Again you have to submit. And after submitting this process, I mean, say for example here we have 5,000 variants. You click on that, you notice some reasons, the reasons you fixed. After fixing, again you have to run this payables to ledger reconciliation. Again you have to give new request name. Whenever you run this again, this report, so the latest request only it will select automatically. Okay, that's how again it will display the results. This is how it works. So this is a point we have to understand. So I clicked on that amount and it is taken to this page to display the issues. There is no data displayed, reason there is no variance. So these are the points we have to understand when you talk about reconciliation. Any questions on this or anything, just whatever we discussed? Any questions, please?
Lakshman, just to make sure I'm clear.
Yeah.
So accounts payable account is the control account, right?
Correct. So that is the account which will be holding all suppliers liability. Depending on the client practice, they may use multiple liability accounts also. Those then we'll call all those accounts are control accounts only. Means which will be holding the liability, suppliers liability. That account is control account. That only we use for reconciliation to make sure as per payables how much and how much is flowing into GL, whether that is getting reconciled or not. Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. Any questions?
Lakshman?
Yep.
Lakshman, if in that case, if we have multiple current account, how we have to run it separately for each and every account?
No. No, I got your question. See here, when you are submitting the job, here you can select the range. So here, criteria we have. Right. Just I'll take you through that. See, we know like whenever we have a just a similar nature account types, we'll go with the grouping only, right? However, just here practice purpose, we may have accounts randomly, but will be all expense account will go with one sequence. All revenue accounts, liability accounts, asset accounts. In the chart of accounts, specific value set will go with some grouping. So in that case, all if you have a 10 liability account, 10 liability accounts you can have in the sequence. So when you are submitting the process payables to ledger reconciliation, you can select multiple accounts here. We'll see that. So prepare payables to general ledger reconciliation. When you submit this, here just by default it will open like equal to. criteria it will open. If you go with this, click on search, here add field, say account for example. Here you have a selection, say between. You can select multiple accounts here. Okay, fine. Say you have a liability accounts double two. What?
Yeah. Okay, got it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is how you can do it. So any other questions, please?
Yeah. Okay, got it. One more thing. If I'm correct, this report is run to check whether the payable invoices, which payable have been accounted or paid. That difference, if I'm correct, what I've understood from this.
Yes, yes. We have to end of the period.
Hello?
We have to make sure that the two sides, the same balances are reflecting. If there is any variance, we have to identify why that variance is coming. If this report is
Okay, thank you.
showing any variance, that primarily based on the result of our system only, and there are some other points which you have to think on. Maybe data is flowing from third party systems, etc. Those are some additional things. This report can help you to give you the information based on the data which is available in our payables and GLs application.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So this process is simplified. Now just in every period we have to do the reconciliation, but manually we have to run and we have to search for the different reasons. So we don't find all the clues, what are the reasons. We have to manually start finding it, right? So now they simplified, and it can be captured by system itself. It will produce the report with the listing the reasons. Simply you can go and correct, and you can rerun the process of the payables to ledger reconciliation and the report once again. That's how easily you can do the reconciliation. The same process is applicable for other applications also. Same is applicable for receivables. When you work on receivables anyway, we'll go through it. Fine. So just we gone through these very few topics today: holds and release reasons, supplier refund process, aging periods, payables to ledger reconciliation. So any questions from anyone, please? If no questions, we can wind up for today. Tomorrow session we'll go through this custom roles. So how to find out what are the different privileges specific role has within the job role, what are the duty roles we have, how to compare two roles to understand how those two are different, and how to simulate the role. We'll see that in the system, and how to copy the role and how to do the modifications, how to create the custom role altogether. If you are creating the custom role, what are the points you have to consider. Okay, we'll go through all these. Maybe we need one session to work on all these aspects of this custom role definition. So we'll be working on the custom roles tomorrow. If time permits, we'll go to the next topics also. Otherwise, maybe we may limit it to the custom roles topic only for tomorrow session. So any questions from today's session or from previous sessions, or if you have any issues with instance, okay, any doubts or queries, please let me know. We can discuss now. We're done with the session. If you want to drop from the session, you can go ahead. If you have any questions, we may stay back and we can discuss. Okay, that's all for today. So see you tomorrow. Have a good day and good night. Thank you all. Any questions, please?